Welcome to Career Therapy with Seneca, where we talk women, work, and wellness. I'm so happy that you've joined me today, and I'm happy to have on the couch Miss Shantelle Moxie.
Hi, Seneca. Nice to be here.
Oh, thank you for coming. I'm very humbled that you're here today joining me on the couch.
Thank you.
Can you tell our viewers a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Well, my name is Shantelle Moxie, and I am a multi-passionate entrepreneur. I am a children's book author, I'm a therapist, and I have my own party coaching business. So I enjoy helping women develop and grow and become the best versions of themselves.
So you're doing a lot.
I'm doing a lot.
And that's wonderful because we need people like you doing a lot. And, you know, it helps people to know that you can have so many talents
Absolutely.
and passions and do all of them, because a lot of people feel limited, like they can't do all these different things.
Absolutely.
So I read a little bit about you and that you used to want to be a school teacher.
Yes.
And now you are a therapist and doing all of these things. So can you tell me a little bit about how did you decide to make this transition? Like, how did you get clarity on becoming what you are today?
Well, it's taken a long time to get clarity. You're right. I wanted to be a teacher when I was younger. And I grew up in a time where I guess I learned from my parents, I guess that generation, you know, you pick a job, you stay with it for ever until you retire, and then, you know, you just collect your benefits. And I struggled with that all my life because I wanted to be a teacher, but I didn't know that you could be a teacher in other ways. I just thought teacher was, you teach elementary or high school or college. I didn't know that you can teach anybody, anywhere, at any time. And in this day and age where we have the internet, you can do online teaching. So I decided to take the safe route and listen to my parents and go to college. I majored in social work because I really wanted to help people and work with children. I wanted to work specifically with abused children and children in foster care. And then I did that for many years, and then I started to feel restless. There was this restless feeling like, okay, I'm doing good work, but there's something more. What else can I do? And then I just happened to be in a work environment that was just very toxic, and I wasn't happy there. And I didn't feel like I was doing any good there. And I'm sitting in my office, and then I thought, I should do children's parties because I liked working with children and I liked planning events. And so I decided I'm gonna do tea parties and little girl tea parties, and that's what I did for several years. And then, you know, for many reasons, health being one of them, I had to put that aside and then go back to traditional work and going back to therapy. And I loved it and I enjoyed it. But then it's like once you're an entrepreneur, it's that feeling is still there with you. And so I decided to look into not going back into children's party planning, but helping other women who want to have that kind of business start that business.
That is inspirational. And, you know, I can relate to it. Growing up in my background, you know, it was all about you have one job and this is the only way that you can get something done. So it takes a lot of courage to do that and overcome that. So today we have you here to talk about bully boundaries and, you know, learning how to overcome the office work bully. And I know that you have this great book, Shantelle You Smell. I love the title. It's very catchy. And, you know, even though it's written for children, I want you to tell us a little bit about the book and then also talking about how maybe your personal experiences had led you to write this book.
Well, I experienced a lot of bullying in my life. And this story was based not on a specific incident, but just in general. And how the book came to be, I'm a member of Toastmasters International, which is a public speaking communications leadership organization. And every year they have speech contests. And I entered this speech about my experience with this bully named Nancy. And it won on every level. And I thought, this would make a really good children's book. I mean, if adults love it, then kids have got to love it. And so I tried to take this speech and try to turn it into a children's book, and it just wasn't working. And I got discouraged and I was frustrated, but I'm like, no, this is what I want. I'm going to make it happen. So I just sat there in my bedroom on a Sunday afternoon. I closed the door. And I just started journaling. I just started journaling.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, these words just popped into my head, and they were in rhyme.
Yeah.
And then I said, let me change the story up a bit. So it flowed better. And all of a sudden, Shantelle You Smell was born.
I love it. And I love that you incorporated journal writing as part of your process, because I use that a lot for myself, and I use it a lot with my clients as well. So I know how helpful that could have been for you and transformational.
Absolutely.
Okay. So we're going to take a little break right now, and then we're going to be back and continue talking about bully boundaries. Hi, my name is Seneca Williams. I am a licensed therapist, career coach, and the host of the Career Therapy Show. Today's career therapy advice tip is mindset over matters. We're talking about mindset management. We all know we experience stress in the workplace, and that's okay, but what matters is how we deal with that stress in the workplace. So, mindset management tip would be to reframe whatever is going on. Whatever you think about the situation, you can change that with your mindset. So if there's a problem, think about 3 solutions for that problem. And you can write, you can use your journal, and a good journal prompt is, what is happening right now? What is the problem? And what are 3 solutions for this? Welcome back to the Career Therapy Show. I am here with Ms. Shantelle Moxie, and we're talking about bully boundaries, and we were just talking about this amazing book, Shantelle You Smell, and how she was inspired to write this book. So can you tell us a little bit about the book and how maybe women in the workplace can relate to Shantelle?
Well, Shantelle You Smell is loosely based on my childhood experience, and it's about a girl named Shantelle who is being tormented by this girl named Nancy. And Nancy does these mean things to Shantelle, and Shantelle just can't take it anymore. And so she finds a way to get revenge on her bully. But then she realizes that that's not who she is and what she wants to do. So there's a peaceful resolve at the end, not to spoil it.
Okay, I like that. And you know what? That is really relevant and useful for many of our viewers, because I'm sure some of them have a Nancy in the office. I know I've had a Nancy or 2. So can you tell us like 3 steps that women can do to overcome that Nancy that's in their office?
Well, one thing I think that we all can do is develop assertiveness skills. You know, and it's so hard sometimes in the workplace to stand up to people, especially if it's your superior, your boss, because you're afraid of retaliation, you won't get promoted or get a raise or something like that. So the important thing is to set the boundary immediately. When you start to feel that something's not right or someone's saying something to you that's uncomfortable, just saying to the person, you know, I don't like that, please stop. Just in a very serious tone of voice. Another thing that you can do if you are being bullied in the workplace is document. Write it down. The date, the time, what the other person said, what you said, who was there, any witnesses, document, because you're going to need that if you ever decide to take it up further to human resources or up the chain of command. Another thing that you can do is really find some support, not at work, but outside of work. You know, friends, family, maybe even a therapist, or if your company has an employee assistance program, really tap into those resources to help you get through it, because you don't have to get through it alone.
Those are really great points, and they're all so true. And sometimes as women, we don't even know that these are things that we can do until someone like you comes along and reminds them that they have power, they have some kind of control if they are assertive, if they set boundaries, if they have support. So I really think that's something that's very useful and helpful. And your book reminded me of Disney has a movie, Inside Out.
Oh, yeah.
And I sometimes tell my clients, you should watch this movie,
Mm-hmm.
even though it's for children, because you can learn a lot from it. So hopefully our viewers will pick up your book. And if they have children, they'll read it to them. And, you know, maybe they'll find something in there for themselves. And there's a resolve at the end that is
Absolutely.
very
Mm-hmm.
useful. So that would be great.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me some of the emotional effects or impact that people can have if they're not handling a workplace bully?
You know, bullying, the research has shown that bullying is similar to a traumatic event. And the effects of bullying has the same effect on the brain and the body as experiencing trauma. So people, you know, we've grown up in a culture, especially as children, where, oh, you know, that's just kids being kids, you'll grow out of it, you'll move on. And the people who say that are people who've either never been bullied or have been bullies themselves. So, you know, I know the impact bullying has had on my life, and anybody who's been bullied knows the impact that it can have on your life. So one of the things that affects people is their self-esteem, because you already feel insecure, and here is someone coming in and saying these things to you and about you, making you feel bad. So it can really affect your self-esteem. It can also create anxiety to the point where you don't even want to go to work. It can create all kinds of health problems as a result, because you're stressed, because you're anxious. So now you have ulcers, and now, you know, cardiovascular issues and gastrointestinal issues, and all kinds of things can happen as a result, not just emotional but physical, as a result of bullying. So I would just recommend that, you know, we really pay attention to how we feel. If you're in an environment and you start to feel like these knots in your stomach, or you feel anxious, or immediately stop it, get help, and work on yourself and help yourself.
That was really great that you touched on the physical symptoms, as we say in therapy world, somatic. We have to think about that, because many people are going to their doctors and they're complaining about all these physical issues that they're experiencing, and not realizing that it's connected to what's going on in their environments and their relationships. So I love that you touched on that, because maybe it'll make someone think about it.
And also, you know, when you think about having physical ailments, what happens? You call in sick from work.
Yeah.
So now that affects you, because now your boss is saying, well, you're out all these days, you're sick. It affects your job performance, and your job is in jeopardy.
Exactly. On that note, I want to say we're going to take another break, and we'll be back to continue talking about bully boundaries. Hi, my name is Seneca Williams. I am a licensed therapist, career coach, and the host of the Career Therapy Show. Today's career therapy advice tip is mindset over matters. We're talking about mindset management. We all know we experience stress in the workplace, and that's okay, but what matters is how we deal with that stress in the workplace. So, mindset management tip would be to reframe whatever is going on. Whatever you think about the situation, you can change that with your mindset. So if there's a problem, think about 3 solutions for that problem. And you can write, you can use your journal, and a good journal prompt is, what is happening right now? What is the problem? And what are 3 solutions for this? Hello and welcome back to Career Therapy with Seneca Williams. Today we have on the couch Shantelle Moxie, and we were just talking about what women can do in the workplace when experiencing a bully. So now I want to talk to you about when women are experiencing this in their workplace, what kinds of things can they do once they're experiencing emotional effects? Like, what are some resources? What can they do for themselves once they are experiencing this?
If you're in the workplace and you're experiencing bully, I would highly recommend doing some self-care and taking care of yourself. one of the things that I do that I love doing, I have a sticky, like a little post-it note on my bathroom mirror, and it just says, today I am proud of myself for ... And so every time I look in the mirror, any time of the day, I think of what am I proud of myself, even if it's getting up at a certain time or going to the gym or whatever it is. I acknowledge myself, because sometimes bullying can just have this negative impact on you and make you feel so bad about yourself. And so what that does is that it reminds you that you're good, you're a good person, and you're a strong person, and you're an able person, regardless of what the world says. So that's like one thing that I would recommend trying. It works.
I love that, because you're talking about affirmations and, you know, positive quotes and things like that. I know for me, I experienced a pretty hostile work environment, and I was counting down the days to leave. And I actually had a calendar in front of my desk that had like quotes and positive things that were inspirational. And I would look at that calendar every day, and I would read these things over and over while I crossed out the dates till I'm gone, till I'm not there. And it really definitely helps what you're feeding yourself, what information you're feeding yourself.
And you can even put that on your phone. Set up reminders every hour, every 30 minutes to remind you, you know, that you are strong and you're able and you can do this. You can get through whatever you need to get through the day. And then you just take a minute and you just reflect and just repeat it. And
I love that you're taking it the positive route. A lot of times we want to vent and be angry and we want to get back at someone. And you know, all that does is feed that negative energy, and you continue to feel sick, and you continue to call out of work, and now you're angry with your family. It even affects other relationships. So definitely affirmations and self-care. So tell me something. You said that you've experienced some bullying of your own in your younger days. What about as an adult, when you were at work? Were there any experiences that you've had that you'd like to share, that you overcame, and how you did it?
Yes, I had a supervisor who would say, I'll say culturally inappropriate things. And how I dealt with it was not what I recommend other people doing. Because, you know, because she was my boss. And so I didn't want what I said to impact me getting a raise or getting a promotion or just my work evaluation. So, you know, I would say things and I would smile when I said it, or I kind of laughed when I said it. And it didn't have the impact because she just kept doing it. And so that's why I say, when you have to confront someone, you don't have to give a speech, just a sentence like, this makes me uncomfortable, please stop. With a serious tone of voice, no smiling, no laughing. And I felt like if I had done that, then it would have nipped it in the bud and it wouldn't have been an issue. But because I played it off a little bit, she didn't take it as seriously. Because a lot of people don't mean to be bullies. They just don't realize the impact that their words and their behaviors have on others. So sometimes if you say it in a certain way, they have a little awareness and they go, oh, okay, I didn't know I was doing that. And then they stop. But then you have those that keep going, and after you tell them and you set that limit and you set that boundary and they're still doing it, then you know it's a more serious issue.
I love that example that you gave, because for many people, they're struggling to get out of that situation, and it's because they may feel powerless. So what I would say to you is, like she said, you create a solid boundary. Your boundary has to be so clear that they cannot mistake it for a joke. They cannot brush over it. It's very clear. So, you know, this is helpful for a lot of people. I know for myself, I've experienced bullying in the workplace, and I didn't know how to handle it, especially in my younger days. You don't know, but when you know better, you can do better, and you can get support for that as well. And you know, you have power. Yeah, you definitely have power.
Absolutely. We just have to tap into that part of ourselves.
So your Shantelle and your book is ahead of the game. She's ahead of the game already, you know, as a child, and we have to empower our young women as well, so that they know how to handle these situations, so that they're not encountering them when they get older and in their workplaces.
Yeah.
And bullying can, you know, these days we see in the news, so many things are going on with, you know, abuse and misconduct and all these different things, and it all starts with setting those clear boundaries.
Exactly.
This is wonderful.
Yeah, good.
Yes. I'm so happy that you're here talking about this. And I know sometimes for your clients, it may be a great thing that you share what you've experienced as well. Because I know for some people, they want to know that you've been through it.
Absolutely.
And your transparency definitely helps.
And I share the book with my clients, absolutely, and they love it. They love it. And they can identify like the Nancys in their life. They'll go, oh, that's like, you know, so-and-so.
Yeah. So this definitely is not just for kids. Even though it's written for them, it definitely is for everyone.
Yes. Adults love it.
Okay. So this is what I'd like to know too. What do you have upcoming? What's next?
Oh, I have so many things. I'm a multi-passionate entrepreneur. So I do have my business, like I told you, Dream Party and Company, that I just started. But I also have another book that I've created. It's not published yet officially. It's called Brian's Brain. And it's a story about a little boy named Brian and how he discovers or understands how his brain works and how the trauma that he has experienced in his life has affected his brain. And so it explains, it's for kids, and explains in kid language all about the brain and the brain function and how it works and the different parts of the brain and how they work together. So what it does, it normalizes the experience, because what a trauma is just an intense reaction to fear, and we all experience fear. Whether I'm afraid of snakes, so if I see a snake crawling on this floor, my body is going to respond.
Exactly.
But if I saw a snake every single day, 10 times a day, all the time, I would just be in this constant state of fear, and I would just react, and I'd be angry all the time and hitting people and hurting myself. And so this helps them understand that fear is normal, and what happened to you is just an abnormal reaction to fear.
So I would love to have you come back on the show and talk to us more about Brian's Brain. It sounds like it's going to be amazing, and I would love to know more about it next time when we have you back on the couch.
Oh, I would love to come back. Thank you so much, Seneca.
You're very welcome, and I thank you for being here. And I'd like to thank the viewers today for joining us on the Career Therapy Show with Seneca Williams.